We'll go ahead and call this public hearing to order for the discussion of Colfax County Ordinance 2024-02 and ordinance to amend the ordinance 2021-03, adopting of the legislative intent findings and purpose relating to the regulation of cannabis. At this time, is there any public comment? Todd? No public comment? No? We'll go ahead and leave it open just for a few more minutes. Go ahead and leave it open just for a few more minutes. I almost said, who's this?
Go we sell.
Give it like 5 minutes. Mr. Bustos, we're in our public hearing for our cannabis ordinance. I know you spoke to it prior. Is there anything further you want to discuss? Yeah. I just know you're against it, but. Sure.
Hey, Tony, I'm from this town. Yes, I'm just against it, number one. I don't think we need it because we have better things to do than have these people coming in. I like to know who these people are anyway. I would like to meet them. If you could bring them to this to have talk to them, I appreciate it, but I'm against it. I don't think we need that here. If you keep adding this, we're going to add more and more. You're going to be just like Trinidad. You're going to have some problems. I don't think it's a good idea because I never took drugs in my life. I never did drugs in my life. So our kids are growing up. They don't need to see this stuff in this town growing up. You know, you have a child side, but I'm just against it. We have better things to do, more positive stuff. Can we get something for our kids? Just do something. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Joe. Is there any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Okay, you ready?
Yes. We'll go ahead and call our regular board, our regular meeting to order for the Colfax County Commission. At this time, would you please silence any electronic devices that you have? And would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Next, we'll move on to item number 4 is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, besides adding the word action in front of item number 11, do you see any other changes that you'd see fit? Seeing none or seeing nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to approve amending item number 11 to read action dash closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978-10-15-1H2 limited personnel matters, Colfax County Manager. Is there I'm entertaining a motion at this time for that?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trio?
Yes. Moving on to item number 5 is approval of public hearing minutes and regular meeting minutes for March 26th, 2024. Commissioners, I did not see any adjustments needed. Is there any adjustments on your ends?
None.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trio?
Yes. Moving on to item number 6 is recognition of visitors. I want to thank everyone for coming. Joining us via Zoom, we have our warden Regina Slade. But I'd like to start off here, go with Tim, if you would, please, and back to Mr. Bustos, and just go back and forth. Please state your name and organization you're with.
Martinez, 18.
Shaughnessy, Executive Director of the Department. Fiona Duffy, County Manager's Office. Daniel Otto, County Manager's Office. Karen Giacomo, County Manager's Office.
What's back, actually?
Manager's Office.
Tom, you mind? All righty. Well, thank you all for coming. Next, we'll move into our public comment section. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes on the public comment or during our action item. More time would be allowed if needed. If you would, please come up to the mic and speak clearly into the mic. At this time, is there any public comment that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move forward. To item number 8, discussion action approval of expenditures. Commissioners, is there any questions on the expenditures? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trio?
Yes. Moving on to item number 9, discussion action approval of expenditures pursuant to resolution number 2022-49. Commissioners, is there any questions on the expenditures? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern?
Abstain.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trio?
Yes. And moving on to item number 10 is our presentation from Youth Heartline Program Servicing Colfax County. Colleen, I apologize, Colleen, tell me your last name again. Shaughnessy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Colleen Shaughnessy. I'm the Executive Director of Youth Heartline. And we're a nonprofit serving Colfax, Taos, and Union counties, or the 8th Judicial District. I have been with the organization for almost 4 years, and I've been the executive director for almost 2. In May, I'll celebrate my 2nd anniversary. We are a nonprofit. We were established in 1991, and our office here in Raton was established in 2007 and has been serving the community since. We also served the community since 1991, but we didn't have an office here. We now have an office. It's just down the road. We have 5 staff here, 4 full-time, nope, 3 full-time and 2 part-time. And most of them have been with the organization for over a year, and 1 has been with us for almost 10 years. On the trifold in your packet, our mission statement is there, which I'll read to you. Youth Heartline improves positive long-term outcomes and access to services by reducing risk factors and barriers for underserved children and families in Colfax, Taos, and Union counties. We have 2 representatives on our board from Colfax County, Terry Cam, who's a retired attorney and was a guardian ad litem. So he served children in foster care, which is largely what we do. And also Chris Forrester, who's the former Maxwell Schools superintendent. And from Union County, the county manager, Brandy Thompson, is on our board as well. We receive funding from federal, state, and city contracts, as well as foundations, private foundations. We run 5 programs in Colfax, 3 of which are also in Union County as well. If you go to the page that looks like this, I'll walk you through each of our programs. Since I took over about 2 years ago, I've expanded 2 of our programs to Raton and Union County as well. It's been very important to me to have parity between our Taos office and our Raton office, that we're providing the same services to our communities as much as it is fitting. So one of the programs that we have expanded here is the One Circle groups. This we've been doing in Taos for about 8 years. And this year we received the contract to do it here in Raton. We've served over 300 students from 4th to 10th grade this year alone. And these groups provide gender-specific socio-emotional learning, where conversations around identity, self-expression, being able to talk about our emotions, and developing healthy relationships in all aspects of life for middle and high school students. We have local facilitators. We have 6 of them here in Raton. They are all contractors for us, and they provide these groups in the classrooms. And they have been trained by the One Circle curriculum, which is a national evidence-based program. CASA is the next one on your sheet there, the middle one. CASA is our flagship program. It's how we were founded. So CASA is the court-appointed special advocates for foster children. And these are volunteers who advocate on behalf of foster children as they navigate the court system. As you may be able to imagine, there's quite a bit of each party wants their own thing, and sometimes, unfortunately, the child can get lost. So the volunteers and our staff look out for the best interest of the child and advocate for that to the judges through court reports. We also have safe exchange and supervised visitation. This is through family court and domestic violence cases where children have non-custodial parents or guardians who do not otherwise have access to the children. And they are able to come to our office, visit with their child in a safe space, and the visits are monitored. Each of these programs in Colfax County, we are the only providers of these programs. On the back of this page, if you're following along, our family navigation program, this is another of the programs that I expanded to Colfax County. We also serve Union County through this program. This is case management for families. It's holistic and comprehensive. It may help a family avoid eviction, help a family move into a home that was living in a hotel. Families or parents get jobs, finish their schooling, their high school equivalency. And basically our family navigator meets with families, discusses where they are and what they need, and then they help them achieve that. And then our last program is our youth transitional housing program. This program used to be a Dream Tree program. You may have heard about Dream Tree, but we have moved it under our auspices and we are now sub-grantees of Dream Tree, so we fully run this program ourselves. This program is for youth 16 to 24 who are experiencing homelessness. We have 7 units where we are able to house them for a period of time, usually 18 months. During that time, we move them from dependency on our program to independency. We help single young parents who are pregnant before they give birth, after they give birth. Many of them have gone and finished their high school equivalency through our program with our staff supporting them as they study and also get jobs and learn how to live on their own. So that is all of our programming. And this month is Child Abuse Prevention Month. We use this month to do some events in the community to raise awareness and also do a tiny bit of fundraising. So tomorrow night at the Schuler, there's a free movie on at 7 p.m. The doors will open at 6. All ages are welcome and it's free entry. And then on April 12th, we have our second annual community dance. We started that last year and it was quite a hit. There were lots and lots of children dancing with abandon. And there'll be raffle prizes, face painting, and different activities for kids. And that's at 6 p.m. at the Convention Center on Friday night. And I'm sure you're all aware that we also, our office here is a county building, and we're very grateful to have the building. And also we appreciate the very generous rent that you have decided to charge us. And it's a great space for us to do our programming, particularly the visitation, because it feels like a home, because it was a home, I think, in its former times. And so I just want to express our gratitude for that space. And I'm open to any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Ware? Questions? Commissioner Kern?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Thank you, Pauline. Do you have any idea how many children are being served through the CASA program in the county right now?
In the county, 15.
15 here?
Yeah.
And what about for all 3 counties?
It is currently 65, I believe.
And what about the safe exchange? Do you have ballpark numbers on those?
We serve about 7 we can serve up to 7 families at a time. The position is very part-time. It's a 15-hour position due to funding constraints. So over the course of a year in Colfax County, that's trickier. I'll say 50 individuals. So that is counting the custodial and the non-custodial and the children. We serve about 85 through all 3 counties. So, but we serve more in Colfax County than in Taos.
Interesting. And what about your numbers on the family navigation program?
Family navigation, because it's families and they have a variety of size.
Sure.
By family, I would say in in Colfax County, we are probably 50 families, and in Union, like 5. It's quite small, but we do go once a month to Union. And then in Taos, it's probably more like 75. So
good. Well, I think you all do an admirable job, amazing. And I hate to think of where these kids, these high risk children would be without the assistance of your team. And I just my hat is off to you and all of your people, and that it's It's a very emotional, difficult job sometimes. And
It sure is.
and it's, I thank you on behalf of our communities. I thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
And the same goes for me. I just thank you and thank all your volunteers. I know my mother used to be a CASA, so I'm very familiar with that. And I too had a traumatic childhood. I was abused as a child, not by my parents, but by a babysitter. And so I know the effects it does have on the youth and the children. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we find that the abuse and trauma in Colfax County is more complex and sometimes more extreme than our other counties. So I think the work here is essential, and my staff is phenomenal, and they're the ones who do the work. I just try to make it as possible for them to do it. So I thank my staff as well.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I look forward to attending your functions.
Great. I hope to see you there.
See you there.
And the dance is definitely good for your endorphins and for smiling a lot and being happy.
It's good for the other half in my family as well.
Yes. Right. Anything else?
No, nothing further. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move on to item number 11, action closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978-10-15-1H. 2, limited personnel matters, Colfax County Manager. Do we have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second that. It's been moved and second, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
No.
Chairman Trio?
Yes. All right, we will return. So we'll go on and move on to item number 11. Do we have a motion to, sorry, we'll move on to item number 12, a motion to come back into open session? Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to enter back into open session, that the record reflect the three commissioners, Susie, Monty, and June were included in session.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and second that motion. Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a statement that no decisions were made while in the executive session.
thank you. Moving on to, oh,
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Yep.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Truhill? Yeah, I'm back.
yes,
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 13, discussion action Colfax County investment policy. Madam Treasurer.
Morning, everybody. So did you all have time to look over the policy?
Yes.
Yes.
And what are y'all thinking? We got this from a couple of other counties. Of course, I let June look at it. And we can all work together on getting a board and make sure everybody's agrees with it.
Yeah, I only had, if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I only have one question, and I'm glad that June is actually here today. Because under the statute, 610-8 allows for this, the County Board of Finance, and it's actually a requirement. And thank you, Lydia, for putting this updated version together. I know we had one that was, 25 years old, but.
Right, and I had help from my staff, one of my staff, Linda Mascareñas, she did work with International Bank on doing policies, so we gathered them. They weren't far off from what we had, just some added verbiage and in different order.
Yeah, okay.
And then, of course, I talked with Cy and we did, you today, and I gave it to June, and we can still go through this next year too, because a lot of the other counties were updating theirs as well.
Okay, I just have one question under the appointment of the county, the board itself. The statute says the county board of commissioners in each county in the state shall ex officio and without additional compensation constitute a county board of finance, and as such, subject to limitations of this act, the supervision over the determination and the qualifications in the section of blah, blah, blah. In the statute, it indicates that you appoint the committee, which I'm fine with, but I think based upon the statute, maybe the commission should approve the committee. But the county treasurer still appoints the committee.
Yes, well, you all.
That would be my only
Yeah,
suggested
you
change.
all are all part of it anyway.
Yeah.
The finance authority, so yes, we have no problem.
That would be my only recommended change.
Thank you. Commissioner Ware.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, actually, my only recommended amendment or change is to actually the exact same paragraph on the two people that you have the authority to appoint. I would like to see some sort of language that there's an attempt for those committee members to be geographically diverse within the county. What I don't want to see is that just Raton is represented and the rest of the county isn't. Our county has several different cultures within it. And I know it's going to be hard to represent all those cultures with just two people. But I do think that, what I would like to see is whoever the county commissioner is, that's named in here, that the two people would one need to be from each of the other two districts. Would be the ideal thing. And I know that can be a challenge because trying to find people willing to volunteer and drive to Raton for a committee meeting may be a challenge, but I would like to see in this committee, the entire,
And we can,
County representative.
we can do that. I don't know if we'd have to have it changed in here. I mean, we can work with. I'm not just gonna go out and pick two people in Raton. I think we all are adults and we can work together. And like you said, do the other two districts and get a couple of people. The meeting's only once or twice a year anyway.
Mr. Chairman, it's nothing personal against you, but we're establishing a policy that is going to affect maybe multiple
Right.
treasurers. And I always feel that having something in writing is better than
Okay,
just a gentleman's agreement that the next treasurer may not wish to adhere to.
Well, what about,
we can do that. Well, it's gonna probably be updated every couple of years anyway. It needs to be, but I can have June, get that for me.
what about updating it to the point where, because one commissioner sits on this board,
Right.
right? So whatever district that commissioner is from, the two individuals will be from the remaining
Other
districts.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah, okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
We could just put that word in, so,
okay,
thank you.
all right.
I have no further questions. Those are good points that the fellow commissioners made,
Right.
so thank you very much for
Alright.
doing this.
Okay,
And commissioners will just bring it back to us later, does that work?
Postpone.
Okay, well, there's a motion to postpone.
Second.
Move,
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trio?
yes,
okay.
thank you, Madam Treasurer.
Good work, though. Yeah. Good work.
Move on to item number 14, discussion action approval of the Colfax County Fire Exercise Tax Budget for fiscal FY 2024-2025. Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Tom B. Hill. Today I'll be representing, I'm the representative for Miami Fire Department on the Fire Excise Tax Board, and I was elected as secretary for the Fire Excise Tax Board for this following year. What you have before you, of course, the one is a sample copy of the 23-24 budget and what was submitted last year. We're looking to expend pretty much all those funds. We're anticipating a carryover of about $20,000. And then our financial specialist recommended that we anticipate an additional $200,000 coming into the fund for the next year. And so our budget that we formulated for the 24-25 season is looking to be $220,000 is what we were working with. And then that's our standard obligations typically come out to be about $140,000. We actually cut those obligations this year. Reducing some repeater costs in anticipation of kind of reevaluating the system. And we were able to shift that funding over towards the additional requests. And you see there the recommended additional requests for each department. I will say of note, the departments that did submit additional requests, the monies that you see right there is roughly a half to a third of what they actually were requesting, but we just didn't have the money in the account to give everyone what they want.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Kern?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. One question, and this may be rumor, Brett, you could probably answer it. I heard that the Eagle Nest ambulance is no longer running, or is that?
Chair, at this point, they're still operational. They have a licensed he's a paramedic. I'm not sure of his exact, but they have a director hired now. He's not working full time, but he does work there on the weekends is my understanding. And they're still operating the ambulance, although the great majority of calls have been filled by Angel Fire. They have calls that I believe they'll be able to retain their license.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's my only question. No, I'm fine with what the committee has recommended. Thank you.
I will say, just in reference to that, that was discussed during the meeting as well, the status of Eagle Nest, because that is actually at that point, the two available members had just resigned. And so it was discussed the possibility of, yes, if something happens to Eagle Nest, of course, those funds would just roll over into the next year. But again, it's always that constant reevaluation of the availability of those departments and the availability of their certifications.
Commissioner Ritz?
I have no question.
Neither do I. Thank you, Tom. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Been moved to second, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes. Moving on to item number 15, discussion and action ordinance 2024-02, the amendment to ordinance 2021-03. Is it right? 2021-03, an ordinance adopting the legislative intent findings and purpose relating to the regulation of cannabis. County Manager Gore.
You want to talk about that, Jim?
Chairman Trio, if you allow me to.
Sure.
Yes, sir. The Chairman and the Commissioners, I believe that we did 3 or 4 public hearing on this cannabis ordinance amendment as to the issue about the liability and then also about the changing, some portion of the cannabis ordinance which require emergency action. I believe that the Commissioner Weir and then Chairman Trio made that comment and then we accommodated and we follow through the couple of changes through the proper course of the hearing. Public hearing. So I think we are presented again for the final approval from the commission, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, any further questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Hill?
Yes. Discussion action resolution 2024-18, establishing the Bill Hill Maldonado Detention Center, MVDC records and disposal policy. Warden Slade.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I apologize you couldn't be there today. I've got a lot of work to do here. So we had a request a few weeks back for our records and disposition policy. I did some research, spoke with a few people at the county manager's office. We did not have one. So I contacted county manager, which then I contacted June. So that we could get one in place. June did make this one. So I'm asking for your approval today to have this placed in policy.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Kern,
No questions?
Commissioner Ware.
Mr. Chairman, my only question is, this is specifically for BMDC. Can the county manager refresh my memory? Do we have a say sister resolution for the county as a whole? Because we should, we don't.
No, what? We don't have it. No. Commissioner, the answer is no.
So it doesn't have anything directly to do with this, but Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask, with your permission, to ask the county manager to research a records retention policy. I know that most of it is following state statute, so there's not a lot of gray area there. But it's been my experience with other government agencies that they have a resolution of basically adopting the state policy so that they have a resolution on record.
Will do. Thank you. Seeing no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Hill?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 17, discussion action resolution 2024-19, amending resolution 2023-19, design or designating election places for all statewide elections conducted in 2024 and 2025 and appointing the board of registration members for the county. Madam Clerk.
Yes. So this resolution is to allow us to be able to move our early voting site to our new building location. And if you guys approve it or when you guys approve it, I'll need assistance from the county attorney so we can request a court order from the district judge to make the move.
And Madam Clerk, do you want to name who the The members are,
Oh, they were the same ones that we approved last time. So for the board, it's Roy Fernandez, Josephine Young, Lita Bernal, Kathy McQuarrie, Robert Morfer, and Robert Caldarelli.
thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Commissioner Ware.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one for Madam Clerk. On these committee members, have you checked with them recently? Because even though I'm not, and I haven't checked with them recently, but I know at least two of these people have had recent very severe medical issues.
I have not, we were just, they agreed to serve the last time, but I can bring them back to you guys if you want.
I would just recommend you check with them. Be sure.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seeing nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trio?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 18, discussion action, RFB 2024-01, the Blosser Gap Bridge. Is this County Manager? Or Danielle?
Danielle?
Good morning, Commissioners. I believe Mike Provine did send, or we did send everything that you all were wanting and questioning. So we're just asking to go out for your approval to go out for bid. And let me see here, as soon as I can find. There we are. Looks like the bid, we want to have the bid opening on May 15th and then award on May 28th.
Commissioners, just to let you know, two of my requests were one that the engineer stamp off on this bid. He has done so, so I'm good with that. The other thing was I wanted the Army Corps of Engineers approval. I know the Army Corps is still working on that, but I feel like they've given enough time. If they had issues that they should have reached out back by now at this time. So, and I haven't seen anything come our way as of yet, but and trying to move this along, I request that reapprove this, but commissioners, I'll ask if you have any questions or comments. Commissioner Kern?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I guess my only concern is, is the timeframe 2 weeks. I mean, this is a significant project. And I guess, I don't know, my experience is when you try and push the timeframe on response, you don't get as much response. And maybe not the quality of response you're after.
Mhm.
So this bridge reconstruction it's gonna be a big deal. It's gonna be a high dollar item. I just thought 2 weeks was a little tight.
We can push it out. Yeah, we can push it out a little bit further.
That's just my opinion. I'm not the expert.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Do you want to, let me see. So it'll basically be, do you want the bid award? We can push that out till
Just
maybe the first meeting in June or the second?
I mean, I know we wanna, I mean, I would say it's 2 weeks. I would say I think we should, something like this. I mean, you need to give at least 3 weeks, if not 4. Because this is, the engineers, it's gonna take a lot of time for them to go in and factor structurally. They're gonna have to visit the site. This isn't just like paving the road.
I'm
I
fine.
wish Mr. Provine was here, I would appreciate his input on that, but the last thing I want to do is, I know we're in a hurry, but now that we have the ability to go across that area, I'd really like to make sure we do it right and get the best possible vendor.
I don't have a problem with extending it to a month.
Okay, so we can actually
Yeah, but-
send the award to, do you want to do the second meeting in June? Or is it too far out?
First,
The first meeting?
First,
Yeah.
okay, I agree to that.
Okay, we can change it.
Thank you. Is there any comment, public comment? See nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
so moved.
I'll second that. Madam Clerk.
Do we need to make a motion to
To
amend?
amend it.
Oh, yes, you're correct.
Well, I can go change it really quick.
No, it's fine. We'll just
Make
make
a
it.
motion to amend, to approve the amendment.
Okay,
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the amendment.
okay, thank you.
You made a motion.
Wait, so why don't we, wait, let's just back up.
In the motion.
Yeah,
Okay, redo the
I
motion.
make a motion, we approve the RFB 2024-01 with the changes of making the award date at the second meeting in June.
I'll second that.
Was it the first meeting?
Yes, that's what I meant.
okay, that's, all right.
It's not what I said, but it's what I meant. You know me.
So we have a motion as Commissioner Kern,
Yes.
Commissioner Ware,
Yes.
Chairman Truhill.
Yes, thank you. Chief.
Now that everybody's thoroughly.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Moving on to item number 19, discussion real property disposal. County Manager Gore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The commission had directed me to look at different properties that the county had. We identified 16 different properties. And of those properties, we started to look at 4. The 4 that we are looking at have to do primarily with continued maintenance and some maintenance issues. They're going to be a very big expense in the future. Those buildings are Bobby's building, the Mora building, Team Builders, and Youth Heartline. Our county attorney did some research on the deeds, and I want to thank the clerk's office and the assessor's office for that. What we found is that these buildings were purchased basically in a block grant program or a HUD program, some back in like 1986 and others in 2002. 3 of them have very specific deed restrictions where if we sold the building, we'd actually have to give the money back to the government, which wouldn't benefit Colfax County. The only building that the county owns outright is Youth Heartline. And we did do kind of a preliminary evaluation on that with the assessor's office. And I think that building came in at $131,000. So with that, there was an interesting provision in Team Builders. We probably could give that to the school. We would have to work with the city manager and the city of Raton. I have called Mr. Mestas and asked to meet with him on that, see if the city of Raton would be willing to move in that direction. And I think that would be doable. So at this point, I will wait for direction from the commission.
Commissioners? Commissioner Kern?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I figured because of the CDBG grant monies that there would be some pretty significant restrictions. I would not be opposed to exploring the soy building, you know, that going back to the school because they donated that property to begin with. I'm not in favor of selling the Youth Heartline building at this time. Because as we heard today, I think they are providing too great of a need and a service to this community. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Ware?
I agree with Commissioner Kern. I don't need to restate it.
Cool. There was a question that I had with let me see here. Sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts. I just wanted to clarify when county manager said Bobby's building, he's referring to the Center for the Developmentally Disabled building on the east side of town here in Raton. So I'd agree with the soy building. I'd ask the county manager to look at the Mora Head Start School and see if there is an interest in doing the same options, giving it to the Mora Public Schools, since that's a more a head start. Just not, just to, just.
I'm
This-
sorry.
have to go to red.
It could possibly go to Raton schools as long
Yeah.
as it stays education.
Okay, and I'm fine with, I'd rather give it to Raton if we can, to the Raton Public Schools. Youth Heartline, I'd agree with that. I don't want to sell the building. I believe they provide a huge service to the community. But I did have an interest or a thought. I'd be interested in selling the building to them, giving them the first right of refusal, maybe on a lease to own, or, you know, and doing it at whatever the state allows at the 60% of appraised value, if they had an interest in doing that. I don't believe that the full building is utilized, and if they were interested in taking it over, and give them a permanent place that they could stay, and they could possibly rent out what's left of their building and probably help support and sustain their cause. It's just a thought. I don't know what my fellow commissioners think on that.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with that. I mean, the sales price is not substantial enough based on the evaluations that Mr. Manager found for us to take it to market, but I think that would be a win-win where we would get out of the maintenance of it and they would have a permanent location. And if we could work something out, I think in the long run, it'd benefit both parties.
I agree. Commissioner Kernan?
No, I definitely think that's probably an avenue that could be explored and could be mutually beneficial. I believe not to discredit our assessors or anything, you know, I think their value is pretty solid, but I still think that we would have to have a commercial appraisal done. I'm not positive on that, but I believe that's the case. But I do think it's a conversation to be had.
And then there's a program with the New Mexico Economic Development, and this could be seen. I try to bend the language a little to say that this is economic development, that they're providing jobs for the people in the community of Raton and everything else. And I mean, depending on their funding, the state, I know there's programs out there through that the state's willing to go in and put money in a CD in the banks to help them if they had to get a loan. So that's maybe an option too. But yes, County Manager, if you mind adding that to your list to follow up on. And then I guess with the Centers for the Developmentally Disabled, that will stay. I guess we do need to, I had asked Ms. Apodaca to get with Brett. I know there's been some issues with maintenance that we've deferred on that place. So maybe we can need to fix that into our budget this next year. And County Manager, I would ask too, since we're disposal of property, in your manager's docket, can you give us an update on where we stand as far as a county auction and getting rid of surplus equipment?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. See nothing further, we'll move on. Is there any public comment on that, or the real property disposal? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 20, discussion of the animal shelter. So this is something that I asked that be brought on. This was brought on from prior commission, and I feel like at this point, we just need to address this, have a discussion about it and see how the full commission wants to move forward. Commissioners, at this time, would you like to hear public comment first, or would you just like to have a discussion? Commissioner Ware?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think as I stated in the budget hearing that we had this morning, this is something that I do think the county needs to come into compliance on. I think it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue in our communities. And it is a service that we need to offer. I know it's not going to be cheap, but very few things we do are. But it is serviced by state statute. We're required to offer. I think we're just waiting for the next lawsuit when we get sued because we weren't providing this and somebody had an animal, attack or maul them. In the earlier meeting, Mayor Lopez, I told him about the lady. I didn't mention her name, but I told him about the lady that I think it was 2 months ago or 3. I can't remember when she got mauled. And my concern is, from what I've seen on social media, is we pushed our residents to a point where we're gonna see vigilantism when they're gonna start shooting dogs and they're gonna shoot the wrong dog and there are rampant complaints in each of my communities that I represent. And I think it's time for us to take action. I did speak to the fact that at one point we had a building in Springer. And that even though the proposed ordinance puts the onus of control on the sheriff's office, I'm not sure that's the right or best answer. I think we should look at other possibilities. One of them that I mentioned in the prior meeting is maybe even having a municipality develop it, and then we enter in some sort of MOU with that municipality to provide the service throughout the county. Again, Raton has a facility, so I think that if we're gonna go to a second facility, it shouldn't be in Raton. It should be somewhere outside of Raton to represent the remainder of the county. And then I would suggest us pursuing MOUs with each of the municipalities and helping to try and get them to pitch in on the service, because technically we only have to offer this service in these unincorporated areas, not in the incorporated. So if, to my knowledge, other than Raton, no other community has animal service. And so I think that we need to work with them and figure out how we can come up with a solution for the whole county. But I think we need to be driving that since we have a legislative obligation to provide that service.
Commissioner Kern.
And I would agree with most of what Commissioner Weir has said. We do have an obligation statutorily, but it is to the unincorporated area, but we do have an issue within all of our communities, and I think it's imperative that we work together with them to solve this dilemma. I think I believe the sheriff told me he only had like 15 calls last year in total, and that was included the communities, if I'm not mistaken. So I think this is a good beginning to the discussion, and I think the next item, as far as the ordinance, is a good step forward in that. I'm glad we're talking about this going into budget. The city of Raton did receive $180,000 capital outlay to improve their facility. Even though it would be a longer drive to come into the Raton area. Economically, it may be cheaper to drive than it would be to try to fund an additional facility somewhere. I do think we have to get the other communities buy-in. But we got to start those discussions, and I think this is where we're at yet again, because this has happened before and then it gets pushed aside. So I'm glad that we're moving forward, at least with the introduction of our ordinance on the next one.
Thank you.
I just don't think that the county nor any of our communities can afford to set up a separate shelter. I think we need to try to work out something with Raton, and whether we make a significant contribution to them up front with an annual contribution agreement, whatever that may look like, but.
Thank you. For me, as far as it goes, this did come down from a prior commission, so I'm inheriting this as a commissioner. What we have an obligation to provide, the county does, for the unincorporated areas. So if you're an incorporated area, you have a statute obligation to provide police service and animal control. With that, as far as the county goes, with just having an unincorporated part shelter, I'm not in favor of that. Having only 15 calls in a year, and commissioners, I requested that these other newspaper articles from the Noah's Ark shelter in Trinidad be placed in there. They failed, and their costs were over $700,000 a year with the Noah's Ark. So I just look at that and I know Raton has had their own issues with their own place here as well. Most of these actually come from the Moreno Valley. The calls from 8 of them are from the outskirts of Angel Fire, 4 from the outskirts of Raton, 1 from the outskirts of Eagle Nest, and 2 from Black Lake, for the total of 15. And this is from the sheriff's office on what they've had. Now, as far as, and the way I see this is, as far as the county goes for the unincorporated areas, I think what I would ask is for the sheriff to move forward, how, just in the meantime, at least, is reset up agreements with the local veterinarians right now to say if we have, so for instance, on here, to house an animal at Mesa Vista for a 10-day quarantine period is $225. So maybe the county set up an agreement with these veterinarians to show that we are trying to, though we can't not afford a shelter at this time, we're doing the statutory requirements of being able to provide it. And that's just to cover that end for the time being. I do agree with my fellow commissioners that, and I do like Commissioner Ware's point of a municipality entering into this. I know Springer, they've been working on this and have put some money and have a building. But I think it would have to be probably close to $1 million. And then that's spread amongst the municipalities that are using it. And I want to say it's going to be all or none. I mean, because that's a lot of money to be dispersed amongst the communities. I mean, you're looking at, even if Raton, a given Raton and Angel Fire could probably pay a little bit more because they would be using it. And I'm sure Raton, I don't know how urgent they would want to join in on this since they have their own. But I mean, $200,000 a piece. That's quite a bit of money for a yearly contribution for an animal shelter. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm all for all of us doing it together, but I just wanted to get this action or this discussion out there and see how the commission wanted to move forward. And do we need to ask the county manager to reach out to the mayors of these incorporated areas to see if they have an interest in joining in on an animal shelter?
I probably answer that because I think we've kind of gone down this road before and they were all, yeah, but we don't have any money. And I think your $1 million estimate is very accurate because I know years ago, Jonah and I and the sheriff sat down and ran numbers, and this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, Jonah, and we were close to $1 million then, with reoccurring operating of being somewhere between 350 and 400,000 a year to set up a shelter. So they're not cheap, but I do think this is, you know, with the low numbers that we're talking about that we've had in the year, that if we can just contract somewhere, I think it's probably our best bet.
Okay. So I'd ask that oh yes, Commissioner Ware.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I'd like to see your budget numbers on that $1 million, because I think a big chunk of that is capital acquisition, and I think that can be, and what the deal that we were trying to work with Springer was a possible solution that would mitigate that $1 million. The 300,000 a year sounds like a more reasonable number, and that amount being split between communities. You know, $1 million, I think, is if we're going to go build a new facility.
It wasn't, it was just to outfit the Springer building.
And it's like, if you look at
As
those,
you said, operational was 300,000.
Operational was between 350 and 400 a year.
Buying.
No, that was salaries. The reoccurring would have been salaries, insurance, tags, that type of thing. What we were talking about, and I think setup was, I think 400,000, give or take. I don't know if you remember, Jonah, but anyway, but that already having the building, but what needed to happen to the building, cages, fencing, all of that. But I know Mayor Lopez has done some of that, but like I said, that was 4 or 5 years ago money, not today money.
Well, like I said, I'd like to see what those numbers are because to place $1 million out there and not to say that is a one-time cost plus first year operations is different. I mean, if you're gonna go to municipalities and ask them to pitch in, it's gonna be a different argument if you're asking them for $1 million a year than it is if you're asking them for 300,000 a year. And 300,000 is a number that could be effectively split up. And it might even be cheaper to the municipalities than them trying to provide their own service. So I just think we should get more exact numbers on this and really understand what our capital cost and what our operational cost.
Oh, and the numbers that I was coming off of is what I read from comparing this to the Noah's Ark Animal Shelter, where they had an annual, this could be operating costs has left the shelter struggling to meet its annual $600,000 budget. So,
And for that budget, Mr. Chairman, I'd want to understand, the size of the community that they're serving.
Okay.
Because that could have a substantial impact in that.
no, that's fine. Understood.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think we could get the numbers pretty easily from Raton, but their service is all volunteer. With the exception of one, their AOC officer, which Raton pays for. But everything at that shelter is volunteer and donations. But nonetheless, they will have, how much it costs to run that facility, and it's significant. Definitely significant.
And those might be good numbers because, Mr. Chairman, because Raton represents in population 50% of the population of the county. So if we're serving the rest of the county, there might be a good gauge to have those numbers.
Thank you. County manager, can we task you with that, reaching out to the city of Raton to make sure or to get the cost of their animal shelter from a full year? And then I guess I'd ask if you'd reach out to the elected officials of the incorporated areas to see if they have an interest in this, with more information to come down the road.
Mr. Chairman, I will do that and I'll have that information available at the next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, any public comment from anyone? Would you come up to the podium, please? Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioners, the only reason I brought this up is because we had discussed this sometime. I was part of that conversation that Commissioner Kern mentioned originally, and we did go out and look at the building in Springer. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't me dropping the ball, because I know that at one point this commission had allocated $100,000 toward that project. And so what my confusion was, because my commission or the trustees in Springer didn't want to turn over ownership because they didn't want to do exactly what happened or what we're talking about here now. Turn over ownership to you, and then it fails, and then we're stuck with a building that's not ours anymore that we can't do anything with. So what they were asking me at my meeting is we went ahead and ran the electric to this building and got that set up for $5,000. We were working with Zia Gas to run the gas, and we were going to run and install the water to the facility. We have the car that we got donated, plus I still have $2,000 towards to equip the car. And then of course it's fenced in 4 different partitions in the building. So I didn't want it to be like, well, you're waiting on Springer to do something. I was under the impression that we were gonna do with the 100 grand was the HVAC and the septic system in it, and at least have something to go off of, and then from there build onto it to get the cages. And then at that point, have the discussion with the municipalities like we do with vector control or other things where we pay a portion into that to support the cost of it. So I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't me, that it was the hang up. And that's the only reason I brought it up, because I just have had a few instances in Springer. Of course, the one lady had over 150 stitches, and then the the young kid had, I don't know, I think it was 40 some stitches that they had in that one instance. And so I know I'm not the only one that's dealing with those because I visited with the other mayors from the other communities. So maybe you think the numbers are low because you only got 15 calls in the outer areas, but in the municipalities, it is an issue here or there. And yes, some are like, we let our dogs run wild or they're free or, you know, they know where they're going. No, that's fine with me. I'm not worried about them dogs. It's just these ones that do attack individuals or whatever to have an option. And like what I had envisioned, I'm not looking at a shelter like Raton where we're gonna be keeping them till we adopt them and those kinds of things. These are just a simple solution to put them till we get through a court hearing or whatever's gonna take place and either the dogs or animals euthanized or it's returned back to the owners or whatever's gonna go on. But we're willing to work with you guys anyway. I just know after the legislative session and I seen that the Raton had gotten $180,000. I thought, well, the 100,000 we were talking about here, maybe we could put it towards that one and give them 280 where they could really make something happen there. And we just need to have a conversation with them that they would allow animals to come from outside of Raton and see where we go. So I appreciate you guys putting it back on the agenda. We're more than willing in Springer to do whatever we can to do our part. I just thought I have a building, a car, and some ideas. So I thought the building and the car alone is probably half of the expense if we had to construct it. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Mayor Lopez. Commissioners, anything further? No. We'll move on to item number 21, discussion action, introduction for proposed animal control ordinance 2024-03, repealing ordinance number 89-6. Todd?
Okay, the only part I have problem with on this, I think the sheriff and them did an excellent job, is 5-8. Animals trained to assist the handicapped allowed in public places. I believe the statement is too vague, too open, leaves the county open for lawsuits, plus the business owners. I would like to see this struck from this or changed to refer to New Mexico Service Animal Act, Section 28-11-2 NMSA 1978. This defines, one I read, you have a slightly different one. Identifies and does not accept comfort animals and such as that. It also allows us to fine the individual up to $1,000 in jail time for misrepresenting a true service animal. I am for a true service animal. And under it, it also allows us as a business owner to ask two questions. Is this a service animal required due to a disability? Question one. The second question is, what task or work is the animal trained to perform? Usually people coming in fraudulently, the two questions deters them automatically. They'll take their animal back to their vehicle and come in and shop. I have two individuals that come into my business. The animals are well mannered, well cared for, and they do their job. I am very pro for that. But I do not like the way this is stated. And as I said, it is 5-8. It's too wide open. There's nothing there. So I'd either like to have it withdrawn, marked out, or the numbers I gave you put in place as a referral. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. Commissioners, anything further? And, or if you don't mind, let me just kind of say what I worked with Sheriff Baca on this. And there was parts of that restruck and added. I believe this came from Santa Fe County's ordinance. The one thing too that I referenced is we got rid of the fees and licenses and stuff like that, because currently we don't have anyone to enforce those or collect those fees and fines. And if a dog is impounded, what it states is those costs, the owner of that animal will have to pay for the cost of the impoundment. So whether it be an animal shelter or it's gonna be a veterinarian cost, this way the county's just at a break even. So thank you, Commissioner Kern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd had called me yesterday and we talked a little bit about this, and there is a definite difference in definition between a service animal and a comfort animal, or a therapy, emotional support animal, comfort animal or therapy animal. Maybe the definition of support animal needs to be added under definitions. And like Mr. Tatum stated, then the language be supportive of that of service animals. I think this is a very good start, very good ordinance. I appreciate your efforts and the sheriff's efforts on it. Under 3-2 horse impoundment, I would suggest, rather than the county getting involved in any of that, that under that, we just put the livestock inspector or livestock board will be contacted and let them handle that, since it's a domestic livestock.
That's 3-2.
3-5, I believe it is. That we just call
3-2.
3-2, okay.
Oh, 3-.
Yeah.
It's 3-. So, and it is, so just pretty much strike it and just strike the wording and put refer to livestock.
Yeah, will be referred to livestock board.
3-5. Page 4.
Because if we are in a situation where we have an animal control officer, then you start employing horses, you gotta have somewhere to go with them, and they better know what they're doing with dealing with horses. So I think the livestock board is far more qualified to deal with that than county.
Okay.
And the other one, the only other section that I had question about, under 6-3, under work cruelty.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhat subjective. This, and I don't know exactly how we could drill that down a little bit better, but I mean, if I go out and I'm training a border collie to work with stock and I have to use a shock collar, I may not think that that's, somebody else
Yeah.
may think that that's extremely cruel. So I think we can work on that a little bit.
Okay.
But I think it's very good and very good start.
No, and that's a good point, because I agree with you. I don't think that necessarily be a harm to animal, but I talked to my wife, that'd be another story, you know, she probably divorced me. So, Commissioner Weir.
Well, my only thing is, besides it's saying work 6-3 work cruelty.
It's supposed to be cruelty. It's the only type.
I think that we're kind of putting the cart before the horse right now. I think until we figure out the cost on all of the personnel and capital assets required to enforce this. We currently have one on record that if we need to in the interim can be used. It's not as detailed as this, and it's doesn't go into cruelty as much as this one does, but the existing ordinance is something that could be utilized to enforce the issues that most people are concerned about, which is, the dogs and the other animals that are out and potential danger to people. I think our focus before we start going down the road of trying to implement a new ordinance is I don't want to put in a new ordinance that we're not going to be able to enforce. And we're not going to be able to enforce it until we know where the shelters are going to be. There's a lot of work. Who's going to do it? We're going to need some special equipment to handle dogs that our staff currently doesn't have. And so, to me, addressing this right now, although I think in the long run, it's an important thing to address and it does need to be modernized. I just think you're putting the cart before the horse.
Well, for me, I disagree with you on some of that, but, because I feel like we still need to move forward as a county for the unincorporated areas either way. And then wait, if it works out without, we're willing to bring on an animal shelter with other municipalities, then that's great. And then we could vote this out or amend it as needed. Beto, Mr. Dominguez, do you have any comment on this from the sheriff's office?
Not at this time.
Yeah.
We're kind of discussing the call.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, with this, I don't feel like any action is needed for this time. What I'll do is I'll work on these updates and then maybe just bring it back and then, it may be putting the cart in front of the horse, but it's all right. And, we go from there. So anything further, commissioners? All right, thank you. So there'll be no action taken on item 21. Moving on to item number 22 is discussion action memorandum of understanding between Office of the Secretary of State and Colfax County. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I applied for a $50,000 grant to help us with cameras and computers and security at the building next door. This MOU is for that equipment in the amount of $50,000.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions?
No.
Brett? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Been moved in second, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Kern, Commissioner Ware,
Yes.
Chairman Trio.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then moving on to item number 3, discussion action change order form number 2, fire fill stations rebid RFB 2022-03 for Max Drilling. What is Miss Avila
Neat.
or Nick? Or Nate? Nate.
Nate. There we go.
Sorry, Nate.
We got it.
Commissioners, it was brought to my attention when I first took over this position. I was researching what was being done during prior administration and found that there was some work that had been accomplished by Max Drilling. And I think the timing is suggestive that it was during the release of prior administration and my taking over that this may have fallen by the wayside. I had some invoices from Max Drilling to be approved for payment, in which case it still hasn't been done yet due to us needing to follow up on getting a change order to have the work accomplished. I believe it was an agreement between the prior administration to have the work done and that he would take care of the paperwork aspect of it. And then I believe he was probably let go at that time. And then it just kind of fell by wayside. So what I did was reach out to Mr. Provine to do the change order. And with that, we need you guys to approve the change order so we can get this paid. There should be the 2 estimates for the work that was done under the change order in your packet.
Commissioner Kern?
No questions?
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My question is to our CPO. Since this is under $10,000, is it a violation of procurement since the work was done prior to approval?
think the reason that we're coming to you guys is that the scope of the whole project was close to 100,000.
But I think the change order was just 9,300, right?
Roughly, yes.
Oh, right there. No, I don't, I believe it's okay to go ahead and take care of and pay.
Okay. Questions?
Thank you. I have no further questions and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Move second, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern?
Yes.
Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trios?
Yes. Moving on to item number 24, discussion action resolution 2024-20 budget adjustments, various funds. Ms. Apodaca.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Resolution 2024 is a transfer from the environmental GRT into the solid waste fund, $25,000.
Commissioners, Commissioner Ware, Commissioner Kern. Seeing no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Kern? Yes. Commissioner Ware?
Yes.
Chairman Trios?
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 25 is discussion action amendment to lodgers tax funding application. And this is a request coming from me, Commissioners. So I don't know if you recall the wild divide came in front of the lodgers tax board, and they seem to all approve it and like the need for the county having a tourist-based website to help push tourism within Colfax County as a whole. Per the lodgers tax statutes with the state, there is no issues with them funding a website. The reason it was declined was for the lodgers tax application says it will not fund any websites. So I would just like to add the verbiage in there. I believe it was excluding. Sorry. Wasn't ready. Yeah.
Chairman, does our lodgers tax ordinance include that language? Because the application is one thing, but the ordinance is technically what we have to follow.
And the ordinance is fine with doing websites. And it's just on the application
I
that,
know the state statute does that, but we have a separate ordinance and we can be more restrictive than the state statute.
yes, and then that's why we're restrictive. I don't know if that exactly is in there. When I did this, I sent it to the county attorney. County attorney, can you answer this?
If you allow me, sir. Good morning, Chairman Trujillo and Commissioners. I think, the Chairman Trujillo asked me about this issue, sir, and then I look at the, county ordinance, county ordinance about the lodgers tax, and then statute 3-3821, and then our county the lodgers tax ordinance on that part too. The county ordinance 2019-02 section 5 does not, prohibit creating county website for tourism purpose and requires advisory board to deny any type of the funding for that matter. And then, I believe that the Chairman Trujillo and we look around some other counties, and then I believe that at least 3 or 4 counties who actually provided that kind of funding for the county website to promote that purpose stated in the county lodgers tax ordinance. So I believe that this is within the ambit of the county ordinance and the statute, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question for Mr. Rowe. Mr. Rowe,
Yes, sir.
does working on a website, does it fall under the definition of advertising? If you're producing a website?
So I think right now, when I look at that, the statute again, sir, it just the definition saying advertising, publicizing and promoting tourist related attraction and facilities and event of the county and tourist related facilities, attraction and events within the area. So I believe that those, by creating the website specifically designed for that type of the tourist attraction, sir, I believe that they can be considered as an event or facility as to the that the particular type of the attraction. And I think that I found that also Attorney General's opinion about that 1-800, before it was, they decided back in 1986 that the 1-800 number providing telemarketing service to promote Colfax County, not the Colfax County, San Juan County's tourism activity should be considered as a facility or events for to promote the advertisements, sir. So I believe that can be considered as some guidance from the the Attorney General's office, sir.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And so the wording I wanted to insert on here was excluding Colfax government website on/for tourism. So is there any, and that's on page 9 of the application. And I wanted to bring in front of the commission to just make it clear and be transparent and just as a commission re-own it and not have the lodger's tax board.
So, Mr. Chairman, my only other question is, was this approved by the Lodgers Tax Committee?
Miss Tina, probably not then, right?
No, we didn't have an official on it. But I did state to Chairman Tito that the board is very supportive of the website. And this was worded that we did not support it, but it has not, it was discussed briefly at yesterday's meeting. But it wasn't on our agenda for the discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I think it would be appropriate for us to get an official vote from the Lodgers Tax Committee before we proceeded. I think that's, we need to get input from those people to understand what potential impact this would be. And if Attorney Rowe is correct in that websites can be used for lodgers tax revenues, I'm not sure why we don't just exclude that sentence altogether. Why wouldn't we open the door? Because the committee's going to decide where they want to spend the money. And if it's legal, why wouldn't we open the door to websites for everyone? At least apply, the committee would then decide whether they wanted to recommend it to the commission or not.
Commissioner Kern?
I would agree. I think, I'm sure that, like Tina says, the committee is going to support it, but I do believe that there should be action on record.
Okay. I disagree. I think we're the ultimate authority on that, but I understand where they're coming from. I guess, Tina, would you mind taking it back to the commission or to the Lodgers Tax Board and seeing if they would have an issue with adding this language or just removing it all entirely, as Commissioner Weird stated, and just give us to bring it in front of what they see fit. Thank you. So no, postpone or no action?
No action.
Yeah, so no action will be taken on that. Move on to item number 26, manager's docket.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like the commission to know that we did reach out via email to Mike Provine prior to this. We did find out today that he is on vacation and was unreachable. In the future, I will have him assign somebody else in his place so that they can be available to the commission, especially moving forward. If I can have Tim go ahead and put up some pictures. This picture you see is the new water crossing. You can see that there's a lot of material on the road. We can see that it was re-engineered and it was actually lowered. And you can see to the extent the riprap is on either side, which actually provides kind of armoring against water. Next slide, please. That shows the extent of the tailings that were put on there. That actually is very good quality tailings, and it looks like about 4 to 6 inches of paved road. It's probably the best portion of the road, on that entire road. Next slide. Here you look at the, water, that's going through the large culvert. Above and to the left, you can see the smaller 36-inch culvert. When we re-engineered it, this was put in to take on any extra water and take the pressure off going, the water going through the main culvert. So once again, I think by re-engineering it, looking at it, I think we made it as strong as we can. I suppose we'll find out mid-June. That's typically when we get hit hard. But so far, things look pretty positive. I did contact the New Mexico Fish and Game Department and asked for assistance with beavers. I have been going out there fairly often, and there's definitely a lot of evidence of beavers and activity and trying to work against our work and those culverts. So New Mexico Fish and Game will be going out there and assisting us in kind of managing the beaver situation, so that if we get a torrential downpour or we get a lot of runoff this spring, that not be an issue. Any questions on the low water crossing?
No.
Arthur Roloff has ordered 36 new dumpsters and has worked out a deal with Tri-State to purchase dumpsters and plans to recondition and paint them. The best part of this plan is we don't have to come up with a contingency plan. I know that was a concern by all of us, is coming up with some kind of a plan until we could get up to speed. Now that's not going to be an issue, and essentially we'll be taking over operations on April 12th. Arthur Roloff has purchased a trash truck that can dump former Tri-State dumpsters and is having a new one, has a new one on order. So he's making progress there. I don't know if you've seen some of these dumpsters and different equipment going out, but it has been very busy, and he is getting things in place now. He has also been having his drivers practice on picking up the old style dumpsters and dumping them. So that is ongoing. So come April 12th, we should be ready to go. I did forward the commissioners an email concerning the Black Lake fire station, where we have multiple dumpsters there. And I think all of you will agree that was one of the biggest complainers. I'm not going to mention any names, but the individual was very adamant about putting up a fence, and I think you got that email. All the issues have been resolved, like Black Lake dumping station. And it's good that we are working in such a positive way on solid waste issues with our citizens. Some of the old dumpsters Arthur has identified were full of concrete. We talked about that in the past, and they have never been addressed. Tri-State just left them in the location that they were. Nothing was ever done to go out and try to fix it. So he's going to be trying to pick up the concrete out of those and remove the dilapidated dumpsters that were filled with concrete and other heavy construction items. And he'll be cleaning those out, especially in the Mora Valley, and replacing them with newer reconditioned dumpsters. All in all, I don't think the county could have done better in planning this, and the transition should be truly seamless. Does the commission have any questions on the transition to Arthur Roloff?
Mr. Chairman, not really a question, but a comment that with Texas spring break this year, I was actually concerned that we would have complaints with this transition going on. And I can tell you that other than the letter that we received from one of the neighbors of the Black Lake Fire Station commending us for the acts that we've taken, I have received zero complaints. And I think that that in itself is testament to how this worked, because if I was a betting man, I would have bet against us getting 0 complaints. So kudos.
Thank you very much, Chairman Weir, and I want to thank Commissioner Weir. I want to thank you for those kind words. I also want to thank our solid waste department. I think we have worked very diligently along with Arthur Roloff to once again make this work out and come out with the best possible outcome. I have some very positive news and some more kudos. I called New Mexico 911 just a couple days ago. They have actually collaborated with UNM, the college. And so I have a report on our E91 project. This, as the commission will remember, this was an issue that came up in the past commission. We found, I think, 2,000 mistakes when we had the state look into it. As we continue to look into the E91 issue, we found thousands more mistakes. So with that, New Mexico State E911, along with UNM, has made some significant progress. Right now, within Colfax County, all the addresses have been repaired and fixed and are squared away in Maxwell, Springer, and Cimarron. They are done. Colfax County and the city of Raton are working on a few clarifications before they're done. Angel Fire is verifying addresses and will be turning the information in as soon as they're finished. Some of the people that have been very active in this process and working with the state UNM is our own Tiana, our E911 coordinator. For the city of Raton, it's been April, and for the city of Angel Fire, it's been Rick. Colfax County must be commended for identifying and working with the state of New Mexico and UNM to correct all these addressing issues and all the errors that were initially identified. This was a monumental task and is almost complete and will absolutely unequivocally save lives in our county and with our municipalities. A couple of other things, I'm still working on the safety committee policy, and I hope to finish that soon. I would like to thank several people and several departments. I'd like to thank Solid Waste. We moved the clerk over into her new building, and our entire solid waste department assisted with that project. Our entire IT department assisted with that project. Our several folks from Road and Bridge and Maintenance Department assisted with that. And as Madam Clerk will testify, there was some very heavy items that needed to be transferred over there. I think I even got into working on one of the heavier items. So I think it was a joint effort. Once again, I think it showed esprit de corps on the part of all these departments assisting our county clerk and their staff in getting all that heavy equipment moved. And it took several days. I want to thank Road and Bridge. They, few meetings ago, I know Vice Chair Kern picked up a few or had a few issues with Maxwell area on trees, and they have been hitting that. I wasn't able to get any pictures, but I'll try to do that in the future. And I'm probably going to go out there with the Road and Bridge Superintendent, because in talking with Glenn, I found out that this is there's a lot of trees out there and there's a lot of work out there.
It's a little bit.
And so this is going to probably be an ongoing process, and we'll see if we can maybe look at doing that a little bit more efficiently in the future. The last thing I would like to discuss on my agenda, I know there's been some talk about our county attorney and cost-effective measures The one thing that I think we as a commission need to be focused on, I don't want us to get focused on cost over value. The county attorney that we have, in case of you don't know, he works for an extremely large firm with over 6,000 clients, 49 locations in 11 countries. They've been given awards and recognition, and they have over 50 plus areas of expertise. A lot of times when I consult with our county attorney, he will consult with former federal prosecutors. He will work with other attorneys that have specific areas of the law where they perform. And as far as running counties or municipal attorney, he is a top shelf attorney. If I was going to go to, if I had a brain tumor, I'm going to go to a brain surgeon. And that's what we have with June. If I want an everyday MD, I can certainly do that, but you're not going to get the quality or expertise or the resources that you do with another firm. And I can say that based on experience. My entire life, with the exception of a small stint in Colorado, for working for the state of Colorado, has been in county government. And I have worked with numerous county attorneys through the years. And I can say that June's level of expertise is bar none. He is one of the best, if not the best, county attorneys that this county has ever had. He's one of the best that I've ever known. And he is immediately there if needed. Some of the other things that probably weren't addressed in just looking at cost is how much savings has the county benefited from? June has, through proper management and guidance and direction, I think kept us out of some significant lawsuits that would have been horrific for the county. So a lot of times when you're looking at comparing apples to apples and stuff, we do need to look at not only the cost, but how the guidance and direction from our county attorney has kept us out of numerous lawsuits. And I appreciate that. I think if we can avoid a lawsuit, that's one of the best things that this county can do. And when I've seen our county attorney perform against other attorneys, other peers, I know we had one on the PREA issue, or not PREA, but the premium pay issue. Quite honestly, he out-attorneyed the opposing attorney, and it was very clear. So anyway, in making any future decisions, I would just ask that we consider all the good that our county attorney has done. And if ever you are involved in a lawsuit, the best advice I can ever give a county or a municipality, and this comes from decades of experience, is have the best attorney. And I think that's exactly what we have with June. Once again, you get what you pay for. Fire station at the airport. We have incurred, I know previously there was issues. There was an effort to try to work with the FAA and get property identified at the airport where we could put a fire station. I think everybody is aware that a fire station is an absolute necessity at that, especially as we consider working on obtaining commercial air and getting that done. But one thing with the airport, I'll remind the commission, we've had to manage and correct over 16 audit findings. We have done that, and our airport is in good shape. I appreciate the fact that we've been blessed with grants. for airports and aprons and fuel farms and everything else. And I think that's going to continue to go forward. I think we've been very good at working with getting leasing opportunities out at the airport. Just so you know, and I have actually called Mike, I think it was just a few days ago. I had talked to Dan Rakes, who's the attorney for the Angel Fire Resort, and I said, Dan, we're running into a brick wall, trying to get the FAA to approve converting some of the existing property and identifying that for a fire station. So Mike is right now, I think we should hear when he gets back from vacation, is looking at some of the adjacent property. I know that Commissioner Weir has been involved in that process as well. And I actually have to give Commissioner Weir the credit for that. At one of our meetings, he's the one that suggested it. And I'm sharp enough to take a good suggestion and move forward with it. And Dan Rakes and the resort are receptive to giving or selling the county some property adjacent to the airport. And we can build that fire station. And once again, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. And I think that's what we've been doing. Moving forward, we should have an area identified. We'll get that property from the resort and we'll build a fire station on it. And Commissioner Weir, I hope that answers your question.
Let's do it.
I agree. Let's make it happen. Is there any other questions from this commission on any other issues or on the airport?
I don't have any on the airport. I do have a comment or a question about solid waste. I know we approved in the resolution in that to make it a possibility or an option for the constituents to be able to pay their bill in two halves, first half and second half, just like we do taxes. No place in the letter that went out did that indicate that. All it said was, if you have problems paying your bill, call us. I think we totally missed the ball on that. And it says, and it also says, you incur interest after April or late fees. So at this point, now that all that went out, I don't know how we remedy it. I think it should have been done as directed by the commission and as was put in the resolution to do so. Anybody else got their bill and saw that, but.
I did talk to Julie, and she is out today. But Commissioner, we do currently, and it has been the current practice to work with people on their bills, and if that's doing two different or taking payments, that's what we have been.
So do you think it'd be maybe transparent to send another letter out saying that these are the terms if they want to make multiple payments, and then also provide them the interest rate if they are late?
Well, I think so. And I think the intent when the commission changed the resolution was to make it available in the two payments without incurring penalties. And as everybody nods. So yeah, I do think there probably needs to be a letter that goes out explaining that is an option. Part of what we discussed, and I stated it in the last meeting when we did the resolution, was people are reluctant to call in and say, hey, I'm having problems making this payment. There's a pride value situation in that. And I don't think we should put individuals in a position where they have to ask for that. We raised the fees significantly. We agreed to be able to do two payments without penalty, and that was not conveyed, and I think it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you. So we move on to Commissioner's docket. Commissioner Weir.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have much on my docket, especially considering the late hour of the day, but I do have a question for the manager. Can you give us an update on the hangar grant and the progress of getting that hangar built at the airport?
As far as the hangar grant, sir, Mike and I and Scott have been talking about that. And we definitely want to get together and have a meeting. We're planning on trying to get a meeting to not only work on that, but to kind of coordinate the other two grants as well. So that is moving forward.
For the better, I got people waiting.
I hear you, sir.
Commissioner Kern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would like to say thank you for finally starting on the trees. Like you said, there are a lot of them. And the road crew, you know, we had discussed it back when I was county manager, as far as, you know, rather than just recutting, treating those stumps with a herbicide and to try to deter some of the regrowth. But anyway, at least the work has started, and I appreciate that because it is a huge public hazard. I'd received a call and complaint about some of the county roads east of Springer that they're getting really rough. I think they were spoiled with the operator that was out there for 43 years prior to that. So, but anyway, I did receive a call on that. Just a question, I guess. I know Warden Slade about a month ago had indicated, you know, that they had gone through the audit and that she would provide us with a copy of the audit findings on the mock audit that they did. I don't know if she's received those or if you've received those yet, Mr. Gore, or.
I have not, but I can certainly get that information.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question, I believe Commissioner Trujillo brought it up and stuff, you know, with the status of the surplus sale. You know, going into budget's probably not a good time for Ms. Apodaca to be addressing that, but just that we do need to get that done. I'm sorry, Warden Slade, go ahead. I didn't realize you were still on. I apologize.
No, I apologize. I was trying to put my video on and it was telling me I couldn't. So to answer your question, ma'am, so I did speak with Jessica with New Mexico counties and I heard what she had told me and then told you about what's to occur. So after the mock audit, there isn't a report. That report comes after the actual audit. So when I called her, just to update you on it, I spoke to her again and no one had actually reviewed our medical portion of our mock audit. So I'm in the process today. I have the last meeting with the medical, with the gentleman reviewing my medical. So we're going over it together. And as I spoke with county manager, I think it was last week or week before, I'm gonna, whatever needs to be corrected in just the medical portion, because everything else has already been corrected. I'm hoping by this afternoon or tomorrow morning, I can get a hold of Jessica and tell her to start the process.
Thank you, Warden. I appreciate the update.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Question for manager, what's the status of the extension for the grant that was going to expire in June at the event center? We're good?
Yeah, it's extended.
Okay, thank you.
It's extended through 2025.
Thank you. Another question, I guess, I know it's going to be mosquito season soon. If you could just maybe give us a brief update about where we're at with vector control.
We're gonna need to be hiring somebody for that position. I know that's been a hard position to fill. I know the previous fire marshal actually did a lot of work driving that truck and vector control. So we're working on that. And Vice Chair Kern, I will report that one of the initiatives is as we do trim those trees in Maxwell, we are using a herbicide.
Good.
And so we're trying to take proactive a stance on that, and we're going to continue to do that.
Good, because they, as you can tell, they're a huge problem down there. Last but not least, just a shout out. This past weekend, Maxwell cheerleading squad took first in not just single A, but 1A and 2A cheerleading. So state champs. Shout out to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Just I want to let the commission know I've requested to have a meeting with DFA this next week I've been speaking with their attorneys and some of the other office staff. I believe that there's a solution possibly to the fiscal agent that we're required to have. And I gave you guys this, the commission, the executive order 2013-06, why we're required and how to go about the fiscal agent part. I just wanted to let the commission know I've been attending the town hall and certain other events representing Colfax County. I want to thank the roads department. They've been doing a great job. I really appreciate them getting out there on the old Raton Jump Road and repairing that. It was really bad. So I appreciate that. I wanted to give the commission an update on the Angel Fire Airport. I did want to ask, just due to time, if it would be okay if I signed this new grant agreement. This is also what I gave you. It's receiving roughly $913,000 from the state. Our contribution's $9,000, and we ratify it at our next meeting. Do you have any issues with that? Thank you. Also, an update on the RISE grant. I've been talking with state aviation. They are going to, we are good. They're going to make us redo our application. But all the other stuff, it should be good. I know our grant writer is working with our procurement officer to review everything and move forward with that. I'm also requesting a meeting with the governor through her chief of staff. And we're also asking Senator Campos to get involved as well with this too, to push the need for Colfax County to get this grant, which I think will be a good thing too. And just an update too for the city of Raton, the airport out here with their lighting. When I talked to state aviation, they are assisting the city of Raton on that, and hopefully should be getting something done in May. Just to give an update. I also attended the legislative findings from New Mexico counties, but there was funding available to fix with the courthouse as long as the chief judge was in agreement with that. And I reached out to Judge Romero, and he helped us and put us together in part. We got the documentation that we needed, and Taryn is currently working on this for us to help us some extra funding from the state to update our courthouse. I'll ask from the county manager and attorney to please set up a MOU with the city of Raton regarding the baby boxes. So we could send that in front of their meeting or in front of their commission. And I guess Commissioner Ware, if you'd like to touch base with county manager, and we could do the same for Angel Fire. I'd also like to know when the Moles and Corbin contract is up, county manager. So if you just send an email on that, I appreciate it. Also I've been getting some complaints, not so much complaints, but more sightings that coyotes have become an issue with the calving season upon us. And I just want them to know if they have any issues, please reach out to Aaron Fluman. Thank you. Aaron Fluman with the USDA. I've used his services. It's pretty good. And I just encourage you to do it. Reach out to him though, because he's not able to go on your property unless he's welcome on. So please reach out to him if you'd like it to utilize his services. Please do so. And that is all for now. Commissioners, any questions? Seeing nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to. All right. Do a second, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Kern, Commissioner Ware,
Yes.
Chairman Truhill.